Yo, what is up guys? Boy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So some, dare I say, news coming out of the heavyweight division. I was browsing through boxing Twitter in the last couple of hours and Sky Sports are reporting that Anthony Joshua may fight Jarrell Miller in August. Now, of course, the fight that many expected to happen was a rematch between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte, but according to some reports, they indicate that, there are some financial issues in regards to that fight. And quite frankly, I didn't really care for a Joshua Whyte rematch. I felt that fight was only going one way. I think Dillian Whyte really, at this point in time, is a spent force, quite frankly. I think his chin is completely gone. But the news that Jarrell Miller is being considered as an opponent has me kind of excited, I can't lie. Obviously, these guys were supposed to fight in June of, 2019. Of course, Jarrell Miller popped dirty for substances. In came Andy Ruiz, and the rest is history. But the build-up to Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Miller was extremely entertaining for as long as it lasted. Trash talk back and forth. Joshua really seemed uncomfortable in the presence of Miller. You could tell Miller was getting under his skin. And it made for an interesting build-up, It made for a fun build-up. And of course, since then, they filmed their infamous Gloves Are Off episode, which was never released to the public. And, there's history between these two, and whether people like it or not, that's a selling point in regards to this fight. The majority of boxing fans can't stand Jarrell Miller. The storyline is there. If this fight were to get made, I think it does very well. I think there'd be a lot of intrigue in regards to this fight. Number one, in regards to Joshua, I don't think Joshua looked particularly great against Jermaine Franklin. He won the fight clearly, but I don't think he looked particularly great, whereas Miller is on his comeback since his drug ban, had a few wins, beat Lucas Brown in his last fight, looks a bit rusty, but still brings some of those same attributes he did a few years ago in regards to having a good chin, maintains a good work rate, etc., throws a lot of punches. Miller still, even now, despite him looking rusty, still has interesting attributes for a heavyweight. And, I don't see a Joshua versus Miller fight being a dull affair. I don't see it being a damp squib because Miller's going to force the fight, you would imagine, right? But in doing so, he leaves a lot of openings. He is there to be hit. And of course, Joshua, he's an effective boxer-puncher when he wants to be, plus he can counter with good power. I think if you put these two guys together, even now, it would make for a very fun fight. Of course, also, the build-up, you would imagine, is going to be super exciting. They're going to pick up from where they left off. There's going to be a lot of back and forths. Miller's going to be talking his shit. I think Joshua's going to be getting riled up. I like the idea of this fight. To me, it's super exciting. I mean, there's talk of Joshua fighting Wilder in December. In the meantime, there's very few fights that would excite me more for Joshua than a fight against Jarrell Miller. Maybe that's just me talking, but I really like the idea of this fight. Quite frankly, I'm not all that interested right now in a Tyson Fury fight. I think Joshua needs to rebuild and Fury needs to fight Usyk. So I'm not really interested in Joshua Fury next, believe it or not. I'd rather see Joshua fight Miller. I think it's a fun fight. As I said, the build-up would be so funny. And again, Miller does have some interesting attributes for a heavyweight. If Joshua still isn't confident, let's say Joshua goes in there, he catches Miller with some good shit early on, wins the early rounds, but Miller's still there, applying pressure, forcing the pace. How does Joshua react right now? Who knows? I'm not calling that to happen, by the way. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you never know. Miller does have those characteristics. Great chin, aggressive, strong, throws a lot of punches. Who knows what would happen if Miller survives the early rounds and takes it into the second half. I want to see this fight next. I really do. I know there's people out there saying, oh, Miller should be banned for life and this, that and the other. You guys know my opinions on drugs in boxing now. As far as I'm concerned, all of these guys are at it. Just certain fighters have more protection than others, you know, and Miller's a guy who didn't really have any protection. He wasn't a big name, so he served his time, he served his ban, and, you know, he's free to fight again. He's ranked in the WBA, so why not? He's a ranked contender, he's an unbeaten heavyweight, the styles gel, the build-up's going to be fun. I really want to see this fight next. I was surprised when I saw the reports on Twitter. Initially, I honestly thought they came from a parody account, but, you know, I looked on the Sky Sports official website and they were reporting that Miller's being considered. So there you go. Listen, I'll rate Eddie Hearn if he actually makes this fight, I can't lie. I've been critical of Eddie Hearn in recent times, but if he's to make Miller versus Anthony Joshua, I'll actually be very happy with it. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I really want to see this fight. I really want to see this fight. How about you guys? How do you feel about this fight? How do you feel about this potential fight? And if it were to happen, do you think Miller gives Joshua any trouble? Or do you think this guy is completely rusty, the time off has ruined him, etc.? Share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.